Welcome to the June 4th Town Council Committee of the Whole Special Meeting. It is 6:10, and all councilors are present with the exception of Councilor Obrey, who is on her way. New business. Item 3A, 2019-386, Establishment of Tax Rate for General Fund, FYE 2020 on page 2. Councilor Baumgartner, please.
Make a motion to recommend a resolution to establish the tax rate for the general fund for fiscal year FYE 2020. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Baumgartner and seconded by Heed. Director Landry.
In your packet, I have provided you some information about the budget, just a little bit of the background data. As a reminder, the fiscal 29 adopted budget was $125.8 million. The budget proposed for 2020 was $129.4 million, and that also maintained the current mill rate of 24.17, and it also proposed using $1.55 million of fund balance. After the council deliberations, they reduced the budget by $359,000, bringing it down to $129.0. That was a 2.5% increase from the 29 adjusted budget. And that required the use of $1.3 million of fund balance to maintain the current mill rate of 24.17. The RTM further reduced the council's budget by about $9 million, $9,000, and resulted in a budget of $129,052,746. That was also a 2.5% increase over the 2019 adjusted budget and maintains the current mill rate of 24.17 using $1,095,000 of fund balance. The tax rates would, as I said, the general fund would remain at 24.17. The attachments are some reconciliations for you. It gives you the town manager to town council to RTM. Then there's an additional one for the capital projects. What you're most familiar seeing, the comparison by function that gives the request the town managers in the final budget at a 2.5% increase over the 19. There's also a second page that gives the other funds. As you know, when we put the budget together in February and March, we look at estimated revenues, and always before we want to set the mill rate, we review those in May to see if there are any changes to the estimates for 19, which would impact net of operations, or in changes for also for 20. So this just gives you a little recap of changes we made for 19 and changes we made for the 20 budget. And then the next page gives you the mill rate calculation. As you'll see, it uses $1,095,000 of fund balance to maintain the 24.17 mill rate using the 98.7% collection rate. And you'll see at the bottom is analysis of the fund balance. Beginning with the June 18 net of operations, we're expecting an increase based on revenues and expenditures for estimates for 19 of $4.5 million increase. So it will bring us down to a fund balance of approximately 17% estimated at June 30th. And then those are the resolutions. So if you have any questions about the information?
I think there are questions.
Okay.
Councilor Atwater.
I have two questions. One, going back to the opening page or whatever.
The referral.
Yes. It shows that the council reduced the budget, and it required $1,307,000 of fund balance to be used. Then the RTM reduced it by $9,946, and yet the amount used drops down to $1,095,000.
That results in when we reviewed the revenues, we had an increase in the 2020 revenues. When we go back and review those in May.
So between the time we set one figure and the time the RTM set theirs, you had increased revenue? Is that
right? When we first increase the revenue, estimate the revenues is back in May. In March, and then we always look at those again in May. And it happened to be with the increases in the expenditures and increases in estimates for next year would reduce the amount of fund balance that's used. If you look at the page in my attachment, the general fund, the revenue changes at the bottom. You'll see the variance from March to June, the $205,000. Pardon me?
we don't have a page number?
I don't have. Oh, it was part of my Do you have, is yours numbered? It's
Is it the
major revenue
calculation of grand list page?
It's this page. It says revised major revenue estimates, general fund.
Page 7.
Actually, that was the other question I had, was that you showed preliminary estimate in March of 88,474,000, and then the final estimate for June was 87,680, which was a drop of 784,000. And I'm wondering,
Are you looking at the taxes? Are you looking at the tax line?
I think I'm looking at the major revenue estimates for the general fund.
He's just looking at current taxes. But if you look at the
Oh,
bottom line.
I'm sorry, yes, I am looking at just current taxes.
Right, right. We did have a decrease in the estimate for taxes, but there were other increases in other revenues below that for 19.
Okay, but my question,
Oh, I'm sorry.
why was there such a decrease in the estimated current taxes?
Oh, when we found that, when we reviewed what was done in March, I found that the supplemental taxes had been counted as supplemental and current revenue. So we did find that had been double counted back then.
Okay, that would explain that.
Pardon me?
I said that would explain that.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm still not clear on the first page that council reduced the 2020 budget by 359,000 to 129. So this represented 2.5% increase from the fiscal year 2019 and required the use of $1,307,000. And then if the RTME only reduced it by $10,000, I don't see how you could reduce the use of the funds.
It's related to the increase in revenue that we expect to get. Because the.
Okay, it just seems strange that we would have that much increase in such a short period of time. But
No, it's what we're expecting to get in 20, because when, on the council's adopted budget, we had expected excluding revenue, excluding taxes, to be 38.7, but now we're estimating that's going to be 38.9. So there's about $200,000 in additional revenue that we expect to get in that was not taken into account that we had not estimated for or anticipated when the council set the budget.
okay,
So
And
the
two- and
decrease of
200
the 300 and the increase of the 200, it nets out.
I'm going to say I had a figure 212, so that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Heed.
Our current policy for the fund balance is it 11.5, if I remember right?
11 to 15.
11 minimum, 15% ideal. or
1%
goal.
minimum. 15% goal, and after this budget, assuming we pass this as it's being proposed, and 0% mill rate increase, what will the fund balance be?
I'm estimating it'll be about 17% at the end of June of 2020. So that's taking into account a lot of estimating that 19 ends the way we think it's going to end, and that in a perfect world, the 2020 budget, everything comes in just as we think. So that is subject to change by a year from now. But it is our best estimates at this time that 17% we're thinking the fund balance will be.
Sure.
As a
okay.
percent of the adopted budget.
All right, and I don't recall if we had set something up when we came in to step up the minimum so that it increases from 11, because I think 15% is what's advisable for the community. So is it possible to change that policy and start inching that up?
It's all up to the council. Yeah, you could set it whatever you want to.
So if we have 17% estimated, if we went to 15%, we could do that, and we'd be there.
We'd
be
have
at
to
the
change the
optimal
debt
amount.
policy. We'd have to amend it.
Okay.
Like we did, was it about a year ago? When we
Yeah.
moved it from, when we were at the 7 3/4, if you remember, and we moved it up to the 11 when we knew that we were going to be close to that, because the 7 3/4 was just too small.
All right, and I'm not suggesting we do it tonight, I'm just asking process-wise, how would we go about doing that? Just make a referral and then,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest, sorry.
Nothing.
I would suggest that we at least wait until net of operations, which I'll do sometime later in the fall, September, October, once the audit's finished, and we see how 19 actually fleshes out.
all right, excellent.
Very good. Are there other questions regarding this? I was just curious, the General Assembly or the House budget is out, and I believe Mr. Burt sent that to us earlier. If you just wanted to comment on that, please.
Yeah, just that it had very little impact on us. Was it about overall, I think, well, it's 37,000 it shows as a decrease, but 17,000 we already planned on because of the students from Puerto Rico that we took in. That was a temporary increase in ECS. Really what it came down to is there was an increase in adult education, and there was about a 30-something thousand decrease in LoCIP, the construction grant, so very minimal. And we don't even count on those dollars until we know they're in and done. We go backwards for earlier year dollars to use, so it really has no effect on us.
So the House budget looks good.
Yeah.
So we wait on the Senate budget, which is voting probably within the next day or so, probably, correct? And then the governor signs off on it, and then we'll know for sure.
Right.
So we're in a lot better shape than in some years.
Right.
Very good.
We're very, very fortunate for the past 3 years.
Okay. Anyone else with questions for the finance director? Okay. Seeing none, we will vote on recommending a resolution to establish the tax rate. We are at 9 counselors right now, as Councilor Obrey has joined us. All those in favor of 2019-386 establishment of tax rate for general fund, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. We're on to item 3B, 2019-387, on page 9, sorry. And I believe we're on Councilor Parker.
To recommend a resolution to establish the tax rate for Mumford Cove District Fund for FYE 2020. I so move.
Second. Moved by Parker and seconded by Franco. Director Landry.
Okay, as you know, the Mumford Cove District is just attached to pay for the Noank Fire District for fire protection. And I'm proposing to remain at .34 mils. This, unless Noank were to increase its fire protection, this budget really remains pretty flat.
Are there questions regarding this item? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on 2019-387, establishment of tax rate for Mumford Cove District. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. And we are on to item 3C on page 10. Councilor Franco.
To recommend a resolution to establish the tax rate for Groton Sewer District Fund for FYE 2020. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Franco and seconded by Heath. Director Landry.
The sewer district is primarily a debt service fund. It's the taxes are go to cover long-term bond principal and interest payments for upgrades that are done for the sewer plant. We are using $149,000 of the fund balance. We typically do use a little bit of fund balance out of this to mitigate a tax increase. I do have it going from 0.27 to 0.28, but that's in anticipation of, we have the sewer project we just issued the notes for. We'll be long-term bond for that. So the following year, we'll have debt payment due, debt service due for this. So I wanted to maintain that fund balance to be able to use it next year to offset a larger increase.
Thank you. Questions on the sewer district mill rate? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on 2019-388, establishment of tax rate for Groton Sewer District. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. That concludes the special cow agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Moved by Parker, seconded by Zepari. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are adjourned at 6:25.